working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Jyoti Mera delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. The Philippine Defense Chief will recommend Manila file a strongly worded diplomatic protest after a fishing boat was hit in the disputed South China Sea on Sunday by a suspected Chinese vessel. The ASEAN-Hong Kong-China Free Trade Agreement enters into force on the 11th of June 2019 for Hong Kong and 5 ASEAN member states, namely Laos PDR, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. And Thailand trained on Thursday, just 2 days after their World Cup humiliation against the United States. The Philippine Defense Chief will recommend Manila file a strongly worded diplomatic protest after a fishing boat was hit in the disputed South China Sea on Sunday by a suspected Chinese vessel. The vessel then abandoned 22 Filipino fishermen as their boat sank. Presidential spokesman Salvador Panelo said at a news conference on Thursday that President Rodrigo Duterte backs his defense secretary's actions on the boat sinking and added the abandonment of the Filipino fishermen was uncivilized and outrageous. Panelo called on Chinese authorities to investigate the collision and impose sanctions to the Chinese crew. The sinking is a delicate development in the long-contested South China Sea, which is seen as a potential flashpoint in Asian relations. Tensions escalated after China built 7 disputed reefs into islands, which can serve as forward military bases and intimidate rival claimant states in a strategic waterway, where U.S. forces undertake freedom of navigation patrols. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana has sought an investigation of the sinking and said the rescued Filipino crewmen identified the vessel that hit them as Chinese. The Philippine Coast Guard said it was checking whether those involved were Chinese fishermen or from other neighboring countries like Vietnam, and if the collision was intentional. There was no immediate comment from Chinese officials.
He is outraged by that. We issued a statement, right?
Yes, sir. And
that's it. The Secretary of the DFA has already filed a diplomatic protest this morning. We call the Chinese government to probe the incident and to impose punitive action against those at fault. First, magdi-diplomatic protest ka. Kung hindi ka kontento sa paliwanag nila at nakita natin na talagang sinadya, ibang usapan yan. Our responses will always be calibrated, depende sa degree. But definitely we will not allow ourselves to be assaulted, to be bullied, to be the subject of such barbaric, uncivilized, and outrageous actions from any source.
Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte wants a cleansing of the party-list system in the country, Malacanang on Thursday said, responding to queries from media in a briefing. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said Duterte may be keen on abolishing the party-list system or on putting in marginalized sector representatives in the org. Officials said they discovered 65 ethnic Rohingya Muslim refugees Tuesday who were shipwrecked and stranded in southern Thailand. The chief of Tarutao National Marine Park, Kanjanapan Kampeng, said the boat carrying the Rohingya was found after several Thai and Myanmar citizens told park officials their ship had broken down. They initially denied they were transporting Rohingya. Kanjanapan said the boat was found smashed onto a rocky shore and a preliminary check showed it was carrying 65 Rohingya and several Thai and Myanmar citizens who were identified by the Rohingya as in charge of operating the ship. Kanjanapan said the Thai Navy took the crew away to be processed by immigration officials. Navy Officer Commander Tanapong Sudrak said authorities will investigate whether the incident involved human trafficking. Rohingya originate in Rakhine State in Myanmar, where they face extreme persecution by authorities and majority Buddhists, prompting their flight over the years. Many fled on rickety boats that were sometimes pushed back in the open sea by countries such as Thailand. Attacks by Myanmar's army in 2017 caused more than 700,000 Rohingya to flee to overcrowded refugee camps in neighboring Bangladesh and elsewhere for safety. The Japanese trade minister says 2 tankers carrying Japan-related cargo were attacked near the Strait of Hormuz. Hiroshige Seko said on Thursday that all crew members were safely rescued. All 21 Filipino crew members were uninjured. He said the government has set up a task force and that the government has informed the shipping industry to use precautions. The Japan Ship Owners Association said one of the 2 ships attacked is a Panamanian registered chemical tanker belonging to its Japanese member and was on its way to Singapore and Thailand, not to Japan. The attacks came as Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was wrapping up a 2-day trip to Iran with a mission to ease tensions between Tehran and Washington. No one has claimed responsibility or explained how the tankers were attacked.
日本関係の積み荷を積んだ船が攻撃をされたとの情報がありまして、現在さらなる情報を収集しているところであります。乗組員に怪我はなく、またすでに船から退船をしてですね、そしてまた日本人の乗組員はいなかったというふうに聞いているところであります。現時点でですね、日本のエネルギーの供給には全く問題は生じておりません。事業者への注意喚起やですね、緊急時の連絡体制を再確認して、いかなる状況にも適切に対応ができるよう万全を期していきたいというふうに思っています。
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. The ASEAN Hong Kong-China Free Trade Agreement, or AHK-FTA, enters into force on the 11th of June 2019 for Hong Kong and 5 ASEAN member states, namely Laos PDR, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Under the AHK-FTA, Hong Kong and Singapore will grant a tariff-free access and will find their customs duties at zero upon entry into force of the agreement. Brunei Darussalam, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand will eliminate customs duties on 85% of products traded with Hong Kong within 10 years and reduce another 10% of tariff lines within 14 years. Indonesia and Vietnam will eliminate customs duties for 75% of their products within 10 years and reduce another 10% of tariff lines within 14 years. Meanwhile, Cambodia, Laos PDR, and Myanmar will eliminate customs duties for 65% of their products within 15 years and reduce another 20% of tariff lines within 20 years. The AHK-FTA and ASEAN Hong Kong-China Investment Agreement, or AHKIA, were signed by ASEAN economic ministers and the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development of Hong Kong on the 12th of November 2017 in Pasay City, Philippines. The AHK-FTA contains 14 chapters covering broad areas of market access liberalization, trade facilitation, rules to promote confidence in trade, and cooperation aimed at facilitating trade in goods and services in the region. It is ASEAN's 6th free trade agreement with external partners after China, Korea, Japan, India, and Australia and New Zealand. In other news, the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. hosts a Migrant Workers' Day recognizing Filipino workers' sacrifices, hard work, bravery, and love. Elisa Gonzalez, Manglikmont reports.
To express gratitude to Filipino migrants in the United States for their bravery, hard work, and love of the motherland, the Philippine Embassy here in D.C. opened its doors for Migrant Workers' Day, a day of celebration, services, and a showcase of Filipino food and culture.
We are giving thanks and giving this day to our migrant workers to make them fully aware that they are the reason why we have a landmark legislation. It's a landmark legislation because this is a legislation that looks at labor migration at a very comprehensive perspective, no? From recruitment, deployment, even to integration and reintegration.
What is one of the most common problems or conflicts that you help find solution to pagdating po sa mga migranteng manggagawa?
Actually, of course, we have to understand that the Philippine government, as a matter of policy, does not encourage labor migration. But since we also respect their right to labor mobility, when they go overseas, work overseas, and decide to do that, then the government must provide protection mechanisms. No? So ito mga problema from the most common contract violation, no, to the most complex issues of abuse, no, of our workers, different forms of abuse from physical to psychological. Dito naman sa US, wala pa tayong, hindi naman natatanggap natin yung mga kaso na physical, no. Syempre may mga problema with the employers when their contracts, the contractual provisions are not complied with. So these are some of the issues, but beyond that also we have issues of our workers being sent here na may malaking binabayaran sa Pilipinas, no? Yung mga ating mga recruitment agencies, we're trying to check them because hindi naman pupunta dito ang mga Pilipino sa labas, no, para makapag-ipon. Paano kung malaking utang na nila sa Pilipinas pa lang, no? So these are some of the issues that we are confronted with.
Migrant workers Maria, Yolanda, Epifania, and Sarah, all brought here by diplomat employers, say they are lucky for having such great bosses. One thing they all struggle with, however, is the ever-present and difficult companion, homesickness. But thanks to modern technology, distance is now easier to overcome.
Namimiss ko yung family ko kasi napakalayo po nila, tapos lalo na sa amin, probinsya, walang signal yung internet, so siguro ang tagal ng kailangan pumunta ng city para makontak sila. So yun, isa po yun sa yung namimiss ko yung family ko po, ang pinaka mahirap.
Kung naho-homesick po ako, may way po gaya ng internet, kaya para sa anak. Pero gagawin po lahat para sa mga anak, para lang mabigyan sila ng magandang buhay at mapag-aral sila.
Ang mahirap pag nasa malayo ka, yung homesick, at saka yung kahit may sakit ka, kailangan mong magtrabaho. Buti na lang, mababait ang mga boss namin. Yun lang, considerate sila.
Sa homesick naman, na ngayon yung marami ng teknolohiya, so wala namang problema pagdating sa
Original Filipino music, a barong and barot saya presentation, plus nostalgic eats like the ever-comforting ice ube added to the already jovial ambience. Maria, Yolanda, Epifania, and Sarah appreciate events like this simply because being around Filipinos like themselves help them forget being away from home, even for a little while.
Nakakatulong po talaga kasi kung may problema ka, pwede kang lumapit dito. Tapos yung mga organisasyon po, malaking tulong po sa kanila sa atin. Kaya ng event na to, nakakawala po ng homesick.
Sa akin naman po, very happy na makita ng mga Filipino dito. Nakakawala ng lungkot kasi at least may nakita kang kalahi na Filipino kasi nakaka-miss po talaga sa Pilipinas.
Marami kang makikita mga kababayan, tapos doon mo makikita yung mga matagal mo na hindi nakikita kung minsan. Tapos, para lang kayong magkakapatid like ngayon. Kain na. After this, yeah. Masaya, nakakawalan ng lungkot kahit papaano.
Saka nakakatulong rin sila, kaya kailangan rin sumusuporta ka kung anong mga event nila dito. Yeah, oo. Kasi sila ang tinatakbuhan namin ng mga OFW.
And for this response and support from overseas workers, Labor Attaché Trinidad couldn't be more thankful.
Taba ng puso, no? At kami po nagpapasalamat sa kanila kasi binibigyan nila ng buhay yung aming mandato, no? Sabi nga nila, masama daw magpasalamat yung mga government workers kasi mandato naman. Pero gusto nating magpasalamat sa kanila kasi nga tumutulong din sila, no, na mapaigi natin ang serbisyo because without their feedback, without their participation, this is actually one of our ways to test whether we can encourage them to participate, no, and make them more confident in government, especially under President Duterte, because President Duterte has promised to take care of our overseas workers.
Booths of community and embassy partner organizations for Filipino workers, such as the United Federation of Filipino Teachers in America, provided information and assistance to those seeking professional development.
We recognize the exemplary abilities of Filipino teachers in schools, in respective schools, and in the community. Here in Philippine Embassy, we usually have summer class program, to encourage the children to learn how to speak Filipinos.
So we also provide community services in the Philippines. We have recipient schools. In fact, Unified before, we have a school building that was donated in Southern Leyte. And we also send books to the Philippines. We also provide scholarships. And We organize international events. We also recognize professionals coming from other organizations like teachers, nurses, businessmen, engineers, journalists, authors, writers, those people who are doing impact in our communities.
Migrant workers agree that with kababayan support from different Filipino organizations here in the U.S., as well as focused determination and enduring patience, make their dreams within reach.
Sakripisyo lang talaga na para sa future ng pamilya, mga anak, yun lang. Na lahat matulungan ng lahat ng problema.
Kailangan maging matatag, lalo na pag inatake ng homesick, napakahirap nun. Kaya bago kayo umalis, mag-isip kayo kung kaya niyong mawalay ng ilang taon. Yun lang. Dahil pag inatake ng homesick, wala. Yung mga pangarap.
Kailangan maging mabait. At saka yun nga, magbaon ng maraming pasensya kasi ang hirap dito.
Sa mga balak pong mag-abroad na para sa pamilya, gagawin po lahat. Yung sakripisyo, responsibilidad po. Dapat isa puso at isa isip.
Sana po sa lahat ng mga overseas workers, magpatuloy sila na makipag-ugnayan sa embahada, sa polo, dahil nandito po kami para makipagtulungan at magserbisyo sa kanila.
Love of family and service to the nation, just a few of the many reasons that push Filipino migrants here in the United States to keep going. Reporting from the Migrant Workers' Day at the Philippine Embassy here in Washington, D.C., I am Melissa Gonzalez Manglikmot for Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. Former world #1 Lee Chong-wei on Thursday announced his retirement from badminton after 19 years, following a battle with cancer. The three-time Olympic silver medalist, hailed as a sporting hero in Malaysia, said it was a tough decision as he had hoped to only retire after the Tokyo Olympic next year, but that he had no choice. Although he has been cleared of the cancer, Lee, 36, said his recent consultation with doctors in Japan showed he was not fit for high-intensity training. Lee became one of Malaysia's richest athletes after an illustrious career that included the Olympic medals and 69 world titles. He was diagnosed with nose cancer last year but recovered after intensive treatment in Taiwan. He returned to the court in January, but his training has been inconsistent.
Mungkin hari ini I want to announce my retirement for the 19 years in BAM, and I think this decision I very tough do this decision. After I go to April last my checkout in Taiwan, and I just back. I just discussed with my family. I think I told BM also I take the 1 month rest. I just discussed with my family and do this decision.
Meanwhile, Thailand trained on Thursday just 2 days after their World Cup humiliation against the United States. The USA recorded the biggest ever victory in the FIFA Women's World Cup as they claimed a 13-0 win with Alex Morgan scoring 5. That defeat left the ties bottom of Group F, and another defeat against Sweden on Sunday would see them eliminated from the tournament. This is only the second time that Thailand have qualified for the World Cup, with their only other showing at the 2015 finals when they failed to make it beyond the group stage. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Temera, and I'm 1 with 25.